Welcome to the Jackie Wall Studio Easy Crochet Wind Spinner video tutorial. Please like and subscribe and follow me on social media for all the latest updates. You will need yarn up to 4 colors, the appropriate crochet hook, scissors, a yarn needle, optional are some beads, and if you want to make your wind spinner more durable for outdoor use, please purchase some waterproofer for fabric or leather footwear. In this video, I will be using US crochet terms and 100% cotton yarn with a 5mm crochet hook. The great thing about wind spinners is it gives you an opportunity to use up some of the miscellaneous yarn you might have sitting in your drawer. So I'm going to be using 100% cotton yarn today. It is a medium number 4 and it calls for a 5mm crochet hook. The other great thing about wind spinners is you can make them whatever length that you want. A nice size is 50 to 70 centimeters or 20 to 28 inches. I'm going to see how far this is going to take me, and I am going to start off with a slip knot. So I will put the tail end down over my fingers. I will wrap around, hold that secure. I'll reach underneath the short tail, grab the long end. Oops, there you go, and pull it through and create that slip knot. And then from here, the first row is going to be simply chaining. So I will see how far this goes. As I said, about 50 to 70 centimeters or 20 to 28 inches is a nice size. However, you can make your wind spinner as long or as short as you would like. My chain is about 20 inches or 50 centimeters, and so we're going to move on to the next row. So I am going to work in the second chain from my hook. So you'll see that my yarn is going through that final chain. I'm going to work into that second one from the end, and I'm going to work single crochets this round into each chain from the last round. And we'll just keep working single crochets into the chain. All right, and this is how it should be looking. So we've got a nice row of single crochets, and I will continue to the end of this row, and I will meet you at the end. All right, I am almost at the end of my chain. I just have a couple more single crochets, 3 more to do. Now, when I do the final one, I'm not going to finish it off. I'm just going to pull it through. So I have the 2 loops on my hook. I've already cut off my previous color. Here is my new color. I'm going to use gray, and I am just going to pull the yarn through those 2 hoops. There we go. Pull everything tight here. Excellent. And then I'm going to chain 2. Now you will want to turn your work, and we're going to start on the next row. The next row is 2 half double crochets into each single crochet from the row before. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go into the first opening, and now I have 3 on my hook, and I'm going to go through all 3, and I'm going to work another half double crochet into that same one. There we go. I'm just going to tighten all of this up, and we're going to leave those tails, and we'll deal with them at the end. So here we go, another 2 half double crochets. So yarn over, go into that top of the single crochet from the previous row, yarn over, pull through, go through all 3 of those hoops, yarn over, same one, we want 2 in there, yarn over, 3 loops on my hook, and go through all 3 loops. And we're going to continue that way through the whole length for the second row. All right, so there's 2 half double crochets into that one, and here's the next one, another half double crochet and another one, so that's 2 into the next one. And as you can see, things are starting to twist. So there's 1 and there's 2, and we're just going to continue the entire row, 2 half double crochets into each stitch. I am almost at the end, and take a look at this beautiful wind spinner that is progressing. I have 2 more stitches to do, or 4 more stitches actually, 2 more spots. So that's 4 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and same thing, I am not going to finish that one off because I want to switch colors again. So I'm going to switch to this bright yellow, add some dazzle here, and I'm going to pull my yellow through, and I am going to do 3 chains. All right, and then I will cut off the end of my gray. I'm going to leave a little bit of length. There we go. And now, of course, we are going to turn our work, and we did 3 chains this time, so that means we are now going to do 2 double crochets in each previous stitch. So that is a yarn over, go through, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, and another one, yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. And we're going to continue down the length again with 2 double crochets in each stitch for our next row. There we go. There's 1, and there's 2. We're going to continue to build out this wind spinner. All right, so I will continue and you continue, and I'll see you at the end. Only a few stitches left to go in this row. So I am working 2 double crochets into my final couple of stitches, and then we are going to switch out our color one more time for the final row. Now there are lots of different ways that you can edge a wind spinner. We're just going to keep it simple today. Because I know there are a lot of beginners probably on this video, so let's keep it simple. Oh, I should have not quite finished that because I want to switch colors. So I'm going to leave 2 loops, and I am going to loop onto my final color, pull it through, and then I am going to just chain 1 before I turn over my work. Now I've turned over my work, and I am going to simply work a row of single crochets to finish off this wind spinner in a really bright color. So that is going to be our final row. You're just going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch of the previous row, and then we will be tying off and working in our ends and adding a tassel to our wind spinner. All right, there is how it's looking, and I will see you at the end. Just coming up to the end of the final row, and I have a couple more single crochets to put into the previous row stitches, and then we are going to tie this off. So in order to finish off, I am just going to do a chain into here. And I would encourage you to leave quite a bit of length when you're cutting off, because you will need to hang your wind spinner. So give yourself a nice length, cut it off, and then pull that color right through. There we go. And now it's nice and secure, and this is where we are going to be hanging our wind spinner from. Now we're going to have to work in all of our ends. So to do that, I just have a darning needle here. You can use a tapestry needle, and I am just going to work through one way and then work through the other way, and then cut off that end. And that is how I'm going to work in my ends on this end, and of course on the other end. And then we will get to finishing it off with a tassel. Just a reminder, do not work in this long end that you're going to use to hang up your wind spinner. Just the other ends on the end you finished on, and then on the end over here. I have worked in all of my ends, and I have this string right here, this piece of yarn that I am going to use to hang. I left about 32 inches. So all I'm going to do here is make sure that there's a little bit of overlap, because I will want to hide this end. I'll be working it in just like I did the other ends, and I am just going to tie this, excuse me, like this. There we go, and that is how I am going to hang my wind spinner. I do also have some beads that I'm going to add, just some wooden beads that I am just going to slip over just to add a little more interest. And then I'll tie that as well at the top, and that is how I will hang my wind spinner. Now your wind spinner probably looks a little bit like mine, pretty much a hot mess. So what you're going to have to do is just take a look at the natural spiral and just work your wind spinner. Oops, I have some ends there I didn't work in. There we go. Just work your wind spinner into that spiral, and then as you pull it up, it will give you a really nice even spiral. So don't worry if it looks like a hot mess, just find that natural spiral. I have my wind spinner spiraled up nicely, and the few beads added, which are optional, with my hanger. Now we're going to attach a tassel on the other end. So I have this easy rule that I use when I am quilting or cutting fabric. So I'm going to use the 6-inch length to create my tassel. So one side will be the top and the other side will be the bottom. And I am just going to start with some of my yarn. And I'm just going to loosely wrap it around. And your tassel can be as thick or as big as you would like. I'm just going to see what feels right. And don't worry, if you don't have one of these easy rules, you can use a piece of plastic or just some heavy cardboard and cut a 6 to 8 inch length for you to work around. All right, I'm going to do a few more wraps of the yellow. Now it doesn't matter if they always have this ends ending at the same spot because that'll work in with the tassel. I'm going to just cut that off, and then I am going to go to my green. I don't have much green left, but let's use some green. I'll do the same thing, and I'll just keep adding additional colors. There's my green, and it didn't quite go down to the bottom, but that's okay. That'll work into the tassel. All right, and I'll keep adding more colors. Here we go. All right, I have about 1 inch wide, and it's probably about, it's about that thick. So about 1 inch, a couple centimeters thick that way, and 1 inch or about 3 centimeters, probably about 3 centimeters that way. And the one suggestion is that all of your ends need to be on one side. And this is going to be the top of our tassel, and it has all of the loops on this side. So you can choose to just slide your crochet hook underneath all of that yarn. I did mine a little too tight, so try to do it a little looser if you're going to use your crochet hook, but you can also just use your darning needle. And then make sure you've got, because we need to tie this tassel onto our wind spinner, so make sure you've got a fair bit, that's probably about 6 to 8 inches of both length right there, and then tie a couple of tight knots to secure all of those together. Excellent. And then I'm just going to slide it carefully off. So you do not want to get this tangled. You want to keep it just like that. All right, we obviously want to create a bobble up here on the top of our tassel. So there's a couple of ways to do that. The first one is just take a length of string and wrap it around several times. Tie a knot like we did on the top. Get it nice and tight so you get that bobble. And then just work that knot into behind the string that's wrapped around and into the tassel. But I am going to do actually a macrame technique. So I am going to lay a piece of yarn on top with the tail up. And then I'm going to loop down here. And I'm going to keep my finger there so I don't lose that loop. And I am going to wrap this around. So there's my tail right there, up, and here's my loop down here on my finger. And I'm going to wrap this around, starting from the top and working down to the bottom. And I want to be fairly tight, and I want to have quite a few wraps around. So just keep working your way down to that loop that you've got your finger in. Okay. And then when you're getting very close to the end, you're going to take that tail that you've been wrapping, you're going to put it through that loop that you had your finger in, hold that, and then this end up here, you're going to pull and you're going to hide that, and then you're just going to trim those two ends, and that will keep our tassel in place. All right, now on the other end of the tassel, I'm just going to work my scissors through all those loops. If you don't get them all, that's okay. You can get them and just give it a cut. There we go. Now I see I missed that one, so we'll just give it a cut. And it looks like I missed one right here. I got all of my loops cut and then I evened out those ends. You could cut them before you pull them off your piece of plastic, my ruler or your cardboard, but I find they just tend to get a little bit more tangled and are more manageable if I leave them. I've also attached the beads, which are optional, so don't worry about that. And now we are going to attach our tassel to the opposite end. So there's my end where I'm going to hang it, and here is my bottom end. So all I'm going to do is work my crochet hook through. I'm going to pull both of those ends through. All right. And then I am just going to give them a couple of ties, wrap it around, and tie it a couple of times. There we go. And then I can just take my darning needle, or if you have a tapestry needle, and weave in these ends, and it will be completed. Thank you for watching, and remember, just keep creating.